And as I said before, the only ones that are getting mics right now is Rhetoric and Band Notice. After the debate, we'll have a short Q&A, and then we'll end the space, and then we'll do an after show after that. The debate will have a short Q&A. Hold on 1 second. Let me just send out this tweet. Hold on, you guys. Give me a second. Proud, post that post the poll up top if you can, please.
Just a little pre-debate vote. That's all. Which way you guys think this is gonna bend or curve? Sorry.
Or level out. This is a level playing field. I'm gonna bring Nicola up as a co-host too. Just Nicola, when I bring you up, just make sure that you keep your mic shut. Because you might be in another space, but I'm close with this. Shout out to everybody pouring in. We're gonna get started shortly. Please share the space.
Get your snacks. Get your bathroom
snacks
in. This one's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, this should be fun. This is our first debate space.
I just tell to ask you, do you need the help of me or not?
No, you're good, bro. I think we got it. But you can stay up here with us.
Okay, I being co-host if you want.
Yep, you can stay here. We got you.
Okay, brother. Okay.
Thank you, Brother. Thank you. All right, quick little roll call. We got Reds up here. We got Ben up here. Shout out to Ken, Facing, Robert, Non-Rev, Ivan, E-Man, Jason Bourne, El Chivo, Leo, Globe Tur, Westwill, David, Wu Tender, Mr. Global, J-Man, Nominal, Black Pope, Mikey, The Biggest Mike, Jack, Shira, Supersonic, E-Man, Michael, and Comic McAllister. Shout out to y'all for pulling up early. I know y'all excited. We're going to get straight to this debate. We call it Debate Gate. Episode 45, Flat Earth Friday, Sacred Spaces. Let's get to it. So I'm going to do like a quick overview of how this is going to go. Small rules, not too much. It should be interesting. Should be really quick. Not going to spend too much time. I want y'all to hear exactly how everything's going to be presented. And yeah, get comfy. We're going to be here for a little bit. Hold on 1 second. Reg, you there? Van, you there?
Yep.
All right.
Here.
Cool. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. So the format is as follows. This is how we're going to keep this structure. So pay attention because we want this to be really easy going on the ears. We want everybody to be heard. We want everybody to be able to articulate their points. And we want to make sure that this is a smooth debate, right? So we're going to have a few minutes with the openers. So we're going to do 3 minutes with for Ben, 3 minutes for Reds. Say a little bit open about yourselves and what you plan on doing in debate. And then we're going to jump straight into positive evidence. Okay, so each challenger will get 10 minutes to present positive evidence for their ideology or their belief system. Flat Earth, globe Earth, donut Earth, whatever you think it is, but this is flat Earth, globe Earth. So, that's a position that they're taking. After the 10 minutes of positive evidence, we'll go into the rebuttal stages. And each one of the challengers will have 10 minutes to rebut the things that they heard from the other challenger. All right. And then we'll go into a second round of rebuttal from each one of the challengers. After that, we'll have a 5-minute close for closing statements for each one of the challengers. And then we'll go straight into Q&A, and we'll allow the speakers to come up and give their opinion or ask questions to the globe earthers and the flat earthers that are being challenged today. Hope that makes sense. Just a couple rules that I do want to enforce ahead of time. You guys let me know if there's anything else that you want me to add to this list. Nothing too much. Just make sure, like I said earlier, you have positive evidence for your ideology, right? We don't want any interruptions. No matter how much you want to interrupt or want to jump in, you have to keep your mic closed or you will be penalized or held accountable for it, okay? Also, we don't want anybody spamming the nest while the other one is presenting. So make sure you get your tweets, your content ready for when you grab the mic. And when you grab the mic, then you can go ahead and share your content to the nest or whatever things you want to share during your mic time. Also, and most importantly, no ad homs will be tolerated. Okay, we're going to have a civil debate here. I know we're passionate about our sides and our opinions and our views, but in this space, those spaces that we run, I know we usually have fun on Flat Earth Fridays, but we will not tolerate any attacking of the person. I don't care what position you're taking. You will attack the argument only. I'm dead serious about that. Because one thing that people like to say about flat earthers and globe earthers is that both sides are toxic. So I want to be able to neutralize that. So if you guys are okay with that, with those rules, without any additions, throw up your hundreds for me. Reds and beans. All right. You got like a drum roll soundboard? Damn, Elon, can we get a better drum roll? We in the conga. Oh shit. All right, yo, so let's get to it. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna get my timer ready. Hold on 1 second. Go to my clock app. Oh, so that's the other thing too. So I will give you like little warnings. So like, during your 10 minutes of time, I'll probably give you like a 5-minute warning and maybe like a 2-minute and then maybe like a 30 seconds or something like that. Is that cool to everybody?
Yep.
All right. Hold on a second. So let me get the first one. Okay, so we're gonna start with the 3 minutes. Okay, so I got a 3-minute timer going. Reds, go ahead with your intro. You're up first.
All right. Yep, my name is Red, and the question for tonight's debate, at least as far as I'm aware, is which model best comports with reality, flat Earth or round Earth? I'm going to be arguing for the standard round Earth model, the one that you all know and love. And secondly, I must tell you what I mean when I say that the round Earth model can be verified to comport with reality. I mean that it can be verified by you. Of the two models being proposed, the round Earth model is the clear winner here. You can see this for yourself. You don't have to go to NASA. You don't have to go to Neil deGrasse Tyson. You don't have to go to Bill Nye the Science Guy. If you are able to make some observations on your own, you can verify that the Earth is indeed round. So basically, you can do this with basic equipment and a few friends. So that means all the evidence that I present here tonight will be from observations that I have done myself, or there will be from others who, like me, turned off their computer and made some observations of their own. I will also state that this debate is being live streamed on my YouTube channel live, so shout out to all the people that are watching live on my YouTube channel. I will also state that this debate will have some links corresponding with it, and those links will be in the description of my live stream. It will contain all the links to all the evidence that I present here tonight. So if you're like me and don't want to be limited by a Twitter space, you can click on the link that's pinned on my Twitter profile, and you can watch it there. With that, I look forward to the debate.
Thank you for that, Rez. Thank you for that, Rez. Appreciate that. And shout out to all the listeners on YouTube on Red's channel. Appreciate you guys tapping in if you're not here on Twitter Spaces. Hope you guys are enjoying that audio. And yeah, enjoy the show. So let's hear from Ben. Hold on 1 second, Ben. Let me go ahead and reset the timer. All right, Ben, notice you're up. 3 minutes starting now. Your intro.
All right, I am Ben Notice. Thank you all for coming here. I'm very excited to be here. Just a little bit about myself. I've been researching truth topics for over 20 years. I've been researching flat Earth for about 6 years. I participated in a lot of flat Earth debates during old Twitter before Elon took over. I've probably been banned from Twitter for about 7 times. But since Elon has taken over, since last April, I haven't been banned at all. So I'd just like to take this moment to thank Elon for his commitment to free speech. I think he's doing a wonderful thing by rescuing Twitter. Just a little bit about myself. I do approach things from a philosophical perspective, but I'd like to say that philosophy is the mother of all sciences. I do also have an engineering and automotive background, and I did work manufacturing durable medical equipment. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you, Sacred and Proudflurf and Nicola for hosting. Thank you, Reds, for the debate. And I'm very excited to be here, and if I have any other time left in my intro, I just like to do it to use it to drop all my links. It shouldn't take too long, and if you have to tell me to stop, that's fine.
Yeah, nope. You got 1 minute and 20 seconds. So you let me know when you're done. In the meantime, while Ben gets his links ready, shout out to everybody pulling up to the space. Episode 45, Debate Gate Flatter Fridays, Ben versus Reds. You just heard the intros, and in just a second, we are going to jump into our presentations for positive evidence for both the challengers. Thank you guys for joining. Share the space. Follow who you resonate with. Also, feel free to engage with the poll that we have going right now. It is the second post, the second tweet, all the way on the right, tweeted by Proudflurf. 20 seconds, Ben. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I mean, that's pretty good. Yeah, just tell me when you're ready.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and restart this timer. All right, now this is a fair and even level playing field debate. However, Ben Notice is a level head inductee, so I will grant him the choice on who will go first with their presentation. Ben, go ahead and choose who will be the first to present.
I'll go first.
Ooh, humble. Okay, my guy. Hold on 1 second. As soon as you start talking, I will start the timer.
Okay, thank you. In order to prove the flat Earth, I first have to define the flat Earth model. I'll be using government sources to do so. First is a NASA document published in 1988 in which it states that a plane flies over a flat, non-rotating Earth. This is the primary form of the flat Earth, a vast, flat, and unmoving level plane going in all directions. Next is Operation High Jump, in which the military explored the Antarctica ice wall. The ice wall is the outer barrier of the flat Earth, which holds in the oceans. You can't contain water without a container, and the ice wall is a 360-degree container around the flat Earth that locks in the oceans. Next is Operation Fishbowl, in which the military in the 60s launched rockets at the firmament in order to try and break through the dome. Interesting to note the names of these operations, as it indicates a cynicism in that the military does know the shape of the Earth. And that's why they give them such names as High Jump to describe the tall ice wall, or Fishbowl because it's like we are trapped in a giant container. Briefly, I'll describe what's underneath the flat Earth, which as far as any humans have ever dug is about 8 miles. So at the very least, we know there's 8 miles of Earth beneath the surface, but any claim of 4,000 or 8,000 miles of Earth beneath us has not been proven by any practical application. So the positive proof of the flat Earth is airplane flight. We have many pilots on video admitting that the Earth is flat. Up top, I posted a video of a commercial airline pilot who admitted the Earth is flat. And the flat earther asked him an interesting question by trying to trick the pilot, asking if the nose of the plane is pointed at a negative angle so the plane could go over the curve of the Earth. The pilot caught the mistake and corrected him and said, no, the plane's nose is actually a 3 degrees positive angle. The 3-degree positive angle of a plane is a positive proof that we live on a flat, non-rotating Earth, as it would be impossible for a plane to go over a curve with a positive angle to the nose. The plane would have to dip its nose down and constantly adjust its elevation if it had to fly over a curve. We also have a former military F-16 fighter pilot who was interviewed by Globebusters who admitted the Earth is flat. This video is also on the Jumbo. The pilot stated that he used radar up to 50 miles and the F-16 radar capability actually goes up to 100 miles. 100 miles of radar can only work on a flat Earth as radar does not bend around curves. In the same way, submarine radar and periscopes work the same way, as you can't have radar or optical vision bending around a curve. The F-16 could go up to 55,000 feet and has a top speed of 1,350 miles per hour. So if you imagine yourself in an F-16, you can go up, down, left, right. You'll be flying over a flat, non-rotating plane the entire time. The flat Earth is a logical system in that each reference frame is connected to each other in a flat and continuous plane, and not, for instance, curving and wobbling around. Another important proof of the flat Earth is the fact that the horizon rises with elevation. This is an important point, so I'll repeat it again. When you raise an elevation, the horizon rises with you, allowing you to see beyond the horizon and onto more flat, motionless plane. This is illustrated up top by a video of a worker climbing a 1,500-foot TV tower. As the camera moves upwards, you can see the horizon expand so that more land is visible, and the increased elevation allows you to see more of the flat Earth. If the Earth was curved, you would see the Earth curving away from you, and your vision of the Earth would be limited by a curving horizon. We also have the properties of water as a proof of the flat Earth. Sea level is the reference frame for all measured elevations, for instance, 100 feet above sea level. While there are mountains and valleys on the flat Earth, what we really mean is that the sea level is the base or reference point for all of elevations, and sea level is level. Water always finds its level, and it would be impossible for the sea to be calm or level if the Earth was spinning and curving. This also works for the Great Lakes. Water takes the shape of whatever container it is in, and so if you have a flat and level sea, and since 70% of the Earth is covered by water, I therefore conclude with 100% certainty that the Earth is flat. The properties of water allow us to use a bubble level to determine relative flatness of a surface. So if you tilt the level, the bubble always moves in the direction of the higher end, as the air pocket always moves to the higher elevation. So for instance, if the bubble moves to the right, that means the right end of the level is a higher elevation than the left end. If the Earth was curving or wobbling, we would not see a constant flat horizon out at sea. The horizon itself is only a visible horizon and not an actual line or curve of the Earth. I will present 3 ways that we can see beyond the horizon, which proves the horizon is only a perceived horizon and not an actual curve of the Earth. The first method is to use a high-powered camera to zoom into a boat that has previously gone over the horizon. If the boat had gone below the horizon, no amount of zoom, no matter how powerful, would be able to see the boat as it would be obstructed by the Earth. Another method without even using zoom is just to raise your elevation. By raising your elevation, you expand the distance at which you can see, so the previously unseen boat at sea level can now be seen once again from a higher perspective, thereby proving the boat did not go over the curve. Finally, I took a picture of a container ship on Lake Erie that I posted up top. The atmospheric conditions made the horizon visually hazy. However, the ship was tall enough to where you could still see it above the hazy water. As a result, since you could see the boat more clearly than the horizon, it appears as if the ship is floating on the water. Again, this would be impossible if the boat was below a curve. Next is the laser light experiment, which I posted up top, in which flat earthers use a laser light over the Great Salt Lakes to see if the Earth curves at 8 inches per square mile, as required by the globe model. The total distance was 21 miles. The globe model predicts there would be 294 feet of curvature drop. 220 feet of elevation would be required to see the laser if we lived on a globe. The bright laser could be seen by the camera on the other side of the lake at a laser height of just 5 feet. The flat, non-rotating Earth is just one aspect of the flat Earth. Another key quality of the flat Earth is that it is an ordered and predictable system, compared to a chaotic system, which is an oxymoron and therefore impossible. We can see many aspects of order on a flat Earth. In order to prove this, I have to describe as best as I can the origin of the flat Earth. The flat Earth was created by God. God is an eternal, uncreated creator that created the flat Earth with purpose and intelligent design. When we see the sun, we know it is the source of all origin of life. It does not exist randomly, it exists with a purpose. The sun keeps track of the day, the phases of the moon keep track of the month, and the constellations keep track of the seasons. The North Star being fixed in the same part of the sky year after year for thousands of years, with all other stars in the northern hemisphere rotating around it, indicate a fixed, predictable, precise, and ordered system. Furthermore, the sun, moon, planets, and all 12 zodiac constellations all follow closely to the solar path, also called the ecliptic line. Up top, I posted a screenshot from a star tracker app that shows the accurate location of celestial bodies in the sky. Just in one small portion of the sky, we see the sun, moon, Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, Aries, and Pisces all close together, following along the ecliptic path. If we lived in a chaotic system, it would be impossible for the celestial bodies to follow the same path century after century for thousands of years. People sometimes ask how the flat Earth can explain eclipses. I am happy to explain that. Eclipses show us two important facts. One is that an eclipse proves that the sun and moon are the exact same size in the sky. This would be impossible if the universe was random and disordered. Imagine finding 2 pennies on the ground of the exact same size. It would be foolish to assume this happened by random chance. And we know the coins are the same size because they were created that way. The second fact of an eclipse is that it proves the sun and moon follow the exact same path in the sky. Eclipses can only occur along the ecliptic path. That is how it gets its name. If we lived in a chaotic system, there would be no reason to believe the sun and moon just randomly follow each other year after year for thousands of years. Next is a density and buoyancy model of predicting how objects move through different mediums. When an object is denser than the medium it is traveling in, it drops. And when it is lighter than the medium it is traveling in, it rises. So that if you drop a
90
large
seconds.
rock into the water, and density model correctly predicts that the rock would sink. Not only does this model correctly predict the movement of objects through different mediums, it also does not require any gravity calculations to do so. We also see how the entire world itself is like a magnetic model with a north and south pole and opposing lines of current. It is interesting to note that there is a northern pole star, but only an empty southern node. This is similar to an electrical model in which you have a positive ion, but on the opposite end, a negative ground or empty node. This electrical current also explains why northern hemisphere stars circle around the North Star and the southern hemisphere stars circle around the empty node. The entire world is like an electrical model, and since electromagnetism is a verified and practical application, it is a superior model compared to the gravity model. In conclusion, for this reason and many others, we know the flat Earth is a flat and non-rotating plane, and it is intelligently designed because every day the sun rises and every day the sun sets in a predictable manner. We know the Earth is intelligently designed because the sun never randomly blows up like a SpaceX rocket. Thank you.
With 15 seconds to spare, beautiful presentation, Ben. I did hear some positive evidence. Interested to hear what Rez is going to say. Also, you guys, I am not going to be allowing any requests just yet. Hold on one second. I'm not going to allow any requests just yet. We're going to save all requests for the mics for the listeners during the Q&A. And I'm also going to be retweeting all of the content that the challengers post up top, so you guys can follow on my page for that too as well. Let me go ahead and restart the timer. Give me 1 second here. All right, and I also got a red stream on my background right now, so appreciate the stream of the debate, Rez. Appreciate that. And you're up. Your 10 minutes will start as soon as you begin.
Thank you. All right, so thank you very much for having me for this debate. It is my assertion that the round Earth model comports with reality, and the reason I am so sure of this is because of the observations I have done in the past, and I am not the only one who has made such observations. Many have, so allow me to present those to you right now. Again, this is now being live streamed on my channel if you wish to follow along. Link 1, on May 4th, 2019 at 2:48 a.m., we had a launch of a SpaceX Falcon 9, and you'll be happy to know that this SpaceX rocket did not blow up. This launch was special because the first stage booster was to land on a drone ship just offshore. So my good friend Astronomy Live and I traveled to Cape Canaveral where we would simultaneously record this rocket launch. We were successful. And here's what we captured. When the first stage booster came in for its landing, the flame of the rocket, which was perfectly visible as it was coming down, became obscured by the water under it. During this capture, the only thing between our camera and the rocket was the Atlantic Ocean. Terrain was not an issue for this observation. We were dealing with open water. What our footage showed was 2/3 of the rocket being obscured behind the horizon. But most importantly, it showed an extremely bright light source being obscured by the water. Such a light source at such a distance is not going to be hindered by the law of perspective or the inverse square law. The only thing that changed within those few seconds was its altitude, but not its distance. So if it was visible before, it should have been visible then. Therefore, the only way for that light source to be obscured in the way that it was in our footage that we captured ourselves and didn't have to go to NASA to get is for something to be in the way. And the footage clearly shows that it's the water that's in the way. The round Earth model provides a damn good explanation for why the water is in the way. That explanation is that the water is curving with the Earth. Listed in the description of my live stream will be the 2 video links that documented this event. Link 2. Sticking with rockets for a little bit longer, the next big piece of evidence I wish to present is luminous launches. If you hold a sphere up to a light, it will have edges to that illumination. The edges of the illuminated surface will therefore be tangent with the line of light. This means that just before dawn and just after dusk, light would actually be heading upwards and away from you and at an angle according to the round Earth model. This means that even though it would be dark where you are, there is indeed sunlight streaming overhead. You just happen to be at a location where the sun's light is blocked by the curvature of the Earth. So if an object were to reach the necessary altitude, it could cross into the path of that light and illuminate itself. It would be seeing over the curve to the sun. That is what is predicted by the round Earth model, but has this been demonstrated in reality? Well, actually it has, thanks to the launch of a few rockets. We have the Atlas V N-22 with Boeing Starliner, launched on December 20th, 2019. We have the Atlas V 551 with AEHF-5, launched on August 8th, 2018. We have SpaceX Falcon 9 with CRS-15, launched on June 29, 2018. We have the Atlas V 551 with MUOS-4, launched on September 2nd, 2015. I have filmed every single one of those rocket launches, and listed in my description, you will see a link to each of the videos showing the rocket gaining altitude in darkness, and then at a certain point becoming illuminated by the sun that is beyond the horizon. It is no secret that the round Earth model has an explanation for what we are seeing here. What we are seeing is the effect of curvature, and it comports perfectly with reality. Link number 3. You don't need rockets necessarily. You can confirm the validity of the round Earth model with a ship and a bit of distance, as Band Notice said. And if you make your observation on a clear day, you will then see what a user by the name of MC to MC1 was able to record. Listed in my description of this debate is the video I'm referring to. It shows a tanker ship being partially obscured by the horizon, yet with absolutely no visual limitations via the atmosphere. This observation was done on a very clear day. It's also worth pointing out that we have enough angular size to work with when it comes to the ship in question. Therefore, the law of perspective is not an issue here. The only reason why the ship would be partially not visible is if something was in the way, and the video clearly shows that it's the water that's in the way, the very same water that finds its own level, which in this context means perpendicular to the pull of gravity. This is great because this is exactly what is predicted by the round Earth model. The only thing that could make this observation better is if I did something similar myself. which I did. My observations repeated video, where I filmed a sailboat disappearing over the horizon, is such an observation. While not as clear as the first video that I'm currently referencing, it's clear enough to show the geometry of our planet at work, and that link to the video will also be listed in my description. Link 4. This can also be done with a continuous visual reference, like with a straight and level bridge. And so, this is what we see thanks to Soundly, another YouTuber who lives near Lake Pontchartrain and the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. The length of this bridge makes it possible to see the curvature of the Earth directly. Posted are my most recent tweets, or this most recent tweet showing that is currently being shown on your screen. You can see this leveled bridge literally curving with the Earth. Amazing. Link 5. What is amazing here is that on his channel, this observation was virtually modeled with the assumed size and shape of the globe on his channel. And when you compare the computer renderings to what was actually observed, they match perfectly. This shows that the round Earth model made a prediction, and that prediction turned out to actually be the case. This is great because only models that are able to reliably make predictions are the ones that should be followed and trusted. I think it's safe to say that the round Earth model has passed that test. Sticking with the horizon, we also have my Tampa Bay blink test. This was done on November 18th, 2018. For this observation, I traveled to the north side of the Skyway Bridge and parked at the beach rest area. I used my Nikon P1000 to zoom into the Tampa Bay skyline, which at this point was 24 miles away. After taking an image, I then traveled to Bayshore Boulevard, which was only 3 miles away from that same skyline. After taking the closer image with the same exact camera, I was able to superimpose both images together, and the end result was this. The comparison between the two images clearly showed a sizable portion of the towers being obscured by the water from 24 miles away. Almost all of the Wells Fargo building was behind the horizon, and about half of the Bank of America building was blocked by that same hump of water. I've been back to this location multiple times, and never have I been able to see the towers in full, nor the runway to MacDill Air Force Base, which sits between where I was and the Tampa Bay skyline. And finally, this is my most powerful piece of evidence: the equatorial telescope mount. An equatorial telescope mount is a mount for telescope cameras that compensates for the Earth's rotation relative to the sky. It works by having one rotational axis parallel to the Earth's axis. The advantage of an equatorial mount lies in its ability to allow the instrument attached to it to stay fixed on any celestial object while driving only one axis at a constant speed. This mount works so well that it's used by astrophotographers because it corrects for field rotation, which is a huge benefit because field rotation will ruin any long exposure shot. So if you were to model this mount working in reality, or you were to model this mount working as it does in reality, you will find something really, really awesome. This is where the video I'm currently sharing is very important. When modeled to comport with actual observations, including the observation that the EQ mount works, the only model that results in zero contradictions is the round Earth model. To make matters worse, or better, depending on which side of the debate you're on, it also verifies the accepted size of our spherical Earth. In short, any other shape would not work with this mount. It has to be a round Earth. It is geometrically impossible. Let me repeat that. It is geometrically impossible for the EQ telescope mount to work on anything other than a round Earth. With that, I relinquish the rest of my time to the moderator. Thank you, Sacred.
Ooh, with 52 seconds left. Okay. You know, Rad's gonna come with the science shit, right? I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't use the Jumbotron. I was expecting a little bit of content posted up there. Like I said, he is streaming to his YouTube, but we do have listeners here, and I would like to see a little bit more content posted up top. But I appreciate that from both of the challengers. There you go, guys. Those were positive evidence for the ideology for globe Earth and flat Earth. Tweet at us. Let us know what you think about that first segment. We're going to move into the rebuttals. Each challenger for their first rebuttal is going to have 10 minutes. So go ahead and drop your comments in the bubble in the chat. Let us know what you think so far. Appreciate you guys pulling up. Share the space and follow the hosts, the co-hosts, and the speakers if you resonate with them. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and restart this. All right, next up, rebuttal stage. Ben, you got 10 minutes. Hope you took your notes. I know Rhetoric is prepared, so let's see what you got to say as soon as you start. Timer will begin.
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of times the word round. See, the thing is that a flat Earth can also be round. So I just wanted to point that out. So you mentioned more SpaceX rockets, and you even said that they landed offshore. So they did not land, for instance, on the moon or on Mars. Nobody's really impressed by rockets, considering in the 70s we actually went to the moon. So we're actually stepping back in terms of space exploration. Doesn't really matter how many SpaceX rockets don't blow up, because none of them go into outer space. And in fact, many of them do blow up. You also mentioned one of your experiments that I've seen before, in which you're trying to claim that a certain height, and I'm still talking about your first point, where the rocket is at a certain height, and so now it could somehow see the light over the curve. This is impossible because light does not curve, and I also have a flat Earth explanation for this. And I mentioned it earlier, when you rise in elevation, the horizon rises with you. As that rocket rose in elevation, it became visible to the line of sight of the sun. This works perfectly well on a flat Earth. Next point, you mentioned again a rocket, and you were saying something about how when the sun sets over the globe. Now, I've spent a lot of time on the beach. I've watched a lot of sunsets. If the Earth was curving, and especially at the horizon, you would see rays of sun going straight up into the air towards the sky and not necessarily towards the beach. What we see after a sunset is that there is still some visible light. I believe that's called dusk. The same thing happens right before a sunrise. I could be getting that wrong, dusk and twilight, you know. So the point is that in a flat Earth model, this makes sense because you can still see the light as the sun is moving away from us. On the globe Earth model, you would have to explain why the sun isn't going straight up in the air over the curve. Point 3, you were talking about a ship in the distance, very similar to my picture. You made it clear that the atmosphere was clear. I don't really have any way of verifying that. But you said the phrase water finds its level. And then you also said in point 1 that water curves. So you're trying to say that the rocket was obscured by the curve of the water, but then on point 3, you say water finds its level. So I really want you to bring positive proof that water can actually curve. Point 4, you said something very interesting. You said a straight level bridge going over a curvature. I don't know how a straight level bridge goes over a curvature. So I do not think this is positive proof of the globe model. I think this has to do with atmospheric distortion. In the same way that if you say this bridge is curving over the horizon, I guess according to my my picture, the ship is actually floating over the sea. Point 5, I didn't quite catch all of that, but I think you referenced a computer rendering. I posted up top how a glober lost in court because he sued a flat earther who presented a challenge of trying to find proof of the globe. The glober lost in court because he presented a computer model. We do not want your computer models. We want positive proof that the Earth is a spinning ball going around the sun. And I could talk more about your other points, but in addition to listening to what you said, I listened to what you did not say. You did not bring a positive model of the globe model. You did not talk about the Big Bang. You did not talk about orbits. You did not talk about gravity. You did not talk about the creation of the planets. You did not talk about the rotation around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. You did not talk about the tilt of the Earth at 66.6 degrees. All these 666s are in there. And you did not talk about the sun's movement around whatever mystery object it's revolving around. I took the time to describe the flat Earth model. I even took a risk to myself to talk about the origin of the flat earth by invoking God. I'm sure I'll get hate for that, and I welcome it. You, on the other hand, did not provide a positive proof of your globe model. You didn't provide any of the claims and any of the suspicions that flat earthers have about the globe model, such as orbits, Big Bang, and all the other things that I mentioned. So the one thing I want to talk about, and I think I have about 5 minutes left. Is that about correct, Sacred? Anyway.
Yes, you
I
do. You have
debate,
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
It's cool. When I was joining this debate, the topic was I have to bring positive proof of a flat earth. And that kept being said over and over and over again. And yet here I am, not seeing positive proof of the globe, and you didn't even present the globe model. And so here's what I really want to say about that, because all the other globers in the comments were like, I bet he's not going to bring positive proof. And let me tell you what this is. That is called gaslighting. It is when you're trying to trick somebody and they know the truth, but you're trying to convince them that what they know is not the truth. Another term for this is psychological projection, where you transfer your insecurities and shortcomings onto other people. We do not have that problem. If you want positive proof of the flat earth, it's very simple. We have a flat horizon at 100,000 feet. That's it. That's the whole proof. And I see in your comment sections where you're like, oh, that flat earther, he uses his eyes. Yes, we use our eyes. We use basic observations. And this is what proves the flat earth. It's very simple. And when we talk about positive proof, we don't want computer models. We don't want rockets that blow up. We don't want explanations that could also be explained on the flat earth, like, for instance, the sun curving around. You have to prove that light curves. You have to prove that water curves. And the community and the world at large, they get it. They say, oh, you know what'll shut those flat earthers up? If you just take them into outer space. Well, gee, why has that never happened? All Elon has to do is take us stupid flat earthers up into space and up to Mars, but that doesn't happen. I appreciate that you're trying to prove the globe Earth, but really, there's a lot easier ways to do it. If you had a picture at 100,000 feet of the horizon curving, you would use that as proof. And I know that's true because they always try to pass off wide-angle lenses. And so the other thing is, and I was kind of a little disappointed you didn't bring this one up, where you talked about the solar filter on the sun. But I'd just like to say that while you guys make fun of us for using our eyes and our basic observations, I would just like to give advice to the globers and say, maybe if you used your eyes, you would be able to see the truth. And you don't need to see reality through solar filters, through CGI, through wide-angle lenses. You could just use basic observations, and that does, in fact, prove the flat Earth. So I think I'm a little bit disappointed that your presentation wasn't much longer. I didn't really know what else to say. I guess I will talk about point 6, where you mention a hump of water. That was your exact phrase. Now, I've tried to look up on Google Earth the tidal bulge. I don't know if that's similar, tidal bulge, hump of water. They kind of sound similar. The point is,
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
I've never seen an actual real picture of the tidal bulge. So if you can maybe show me an actual picture of the tidal bulge that doesn't involve a cartoon or CGI, that would be very welcoming. And also if you could redefine what hump of water means, and again, try to prove that water actually does curve. Thank you, I yield back.
Boom, 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 boom. Holy, with 90 seconds to spare. Okay, Ben, I can see why Elon tried to get you out of here, or did he let you back? Either way, we can see where you coming from, bro. All right, Rez. Hope you ready, my boy. Hold on, let me go ahead and slide to this reset here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, we know how Rhetoric is coming. He coming with the signs. He coming with the calculations. Let's see what rebuttals he got to say. Rez, you are up. The timer starts when you start speaking.
Thank you. Not only do I bring the science, but I also bring the apparent contradictions that were made by my opponent, because he said that we don't want computer models. The flat earther won in court because the opponent brought computer models, and computer models prove nothing. Sir, the NASA document that you brought up as evidence for a flat Earth is about a computer model. It's a computer model of a flat, non-rotating Earth. So if we are in agreement that that doesn't prove jack shit, then I guess we can go ahead and agree that we're going to put that off to the side. And I'm sorry you wasted your time going over that, since we both agree now it's irrelevant because it was a computer model. Imagine that. Next, I did not have to bring up the origin of the Earth. The Earth could be created by God and it would still be round. The Earth could be created by Zeus and it would still be round. The Earth could have been queefed into existence by the flying spaghetti monster and it would still be round. Creation has nothing to do with geometry. Now, gravity may explain why the Earth is round, but we're not talking about why the Earth is round. We're talking about a question of, is the Earth round? Why something is, or is it that in the first place, is two separate questions. My job here was to demonstrate the geometric consequences of living on a globe. And I'm sorry, either you weren't paying attention or you didn't just understand what I was going at, but everything I stated points that fact. A geometric consequence for living on a globe would be that ships disappear bottom up and eventually out of sight. A geometric consequence is that as you are looking down the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, it will curve. Now, you managed to completely miss one part that I said, which is, what do I mean by level in this context? It just means perpendicular to the pull of gravity. I stated that explicitly, but you didn't catch it. Gee, I wonder why. So going on to the stuff that you brought up, you said an F-16 pilot supposedly said that the Earth is flat. So what? So I'm supposed to take this guy's word for it? If I can't go to NASA and just take their word for it, you can't go to someone else and just take their word for it. Everything that I presented was my own observations or the observations of people I know personally. You've never spoken to this pilot. Hell, I bet you never even spoke to any member of Globebusters. But we'll go ahead and accept them as face value because they already agree with what you're biased towards. Next, sea level. You guys keep saying that level means flat or whatever. Again, you cannot define the flat Earth into existence, sir. That is not positive evidence for the flat Earth. You can try and make words mean a certain thing and then trip up people when they use those words in different contexts, but that's a dishonest tactic. That is not evidence for a flat Earth. Next, you said that, well, I can't really judge the MC1 video about ships over the horizon. Well, the one thing I will say is that a lot of people saw the footage that I was seeing, and they saw that it was a crystal clear day. You compare my crystal clear observations with your hazy observations. You said that, not me. Your hazy observations. Which one are they going to go through as, or go to as the more premium observation? Clearly mine. So let's go over this. You also said, hey, I'm going to talk about the motion of the planet. Let me go ahead and demonstrate this right here. I have a cylinder. It's actually a can of Coke. I put it on my table. Is it moving? No. Has it stopped being a cylinder? No. Then why is motion relevant? Why is motion relevant to the shape of the object? Oh, it isn't? Imagine that. So it looks like in a debate about geometry, I was sticking with geometry. So let's go over what you didn't address. You didn't address the SpaceX landing. You said, well, you didn't say that they're landing on the moon. That wasn't my point, dude. They landed on a drone ship so far out into the water that when they were landing, the flame of the rocket was obscured by the curvature of the Earth. You did not address that. You brought up the moon landings for some reason, which was not what I brought up. So what you said was irrelevant. Next, you didn't bring up the EQ telescope mount or the fact that it is a geometric impossibility. Let me repeat that one more time because I really want this to be addressed in your next rebuttal. It is a geometric impossibility for that mount to work as it does in reality without it being
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Without it being placed on a sphere. Next, you didn't actually address the observation about the Lake Pontchartrain causeway. You just said, well, it's a computer rendering and whatever, so we're not going to agree with that. But here's the thing. I showed more than just a computer rendering. I showed an actual bridge curving. Now, you said, well, that could be atmospheric effects. That could be atmospheric distortions. That could be, all sorts of things. An atmospheric effect or an atmospheric distortion that matches perfectly with the globe position, which is a thing that was modeled. Quite a coincidence, don't you think? Next, you didn't bring up my Tampa Bay blink test observation and the fact that you will never, ever, ever from that vantage point see the bottom of those towers. And if parallel lines do not intersect by definition, and if the earth is flat, there is no reason why we shouldn't see the bottom of those towers. None whatsoever. None. And as for my last my last rebuttal, the rockets being illuminated by the sun that is beyond the curve of the earth. You did not bring up any explanation on how that would work. You just said, well, they just go higher and that somehow solves the issue. It doesn't. How does it solve the issue? The law of perspective? Well, the law of perspective is alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r. Alpha is the angular size, g is the actual size, and r is the distance. How, via the law of perspective, does that help you? Was it the inverse square law? Well, it definitely isn't the inverse square law because I can see the rays of sunlight before it actually rises, and I see the rocket being illuminated by those rays that are streaming overhead. As you said, it would have to on a round earth model, and I got news for you, it does. So the inverse square law doesn't help you there. So what reason do we have to believe that you have a valid explanation for why those rockets were illuminated in the way that they were? Again, you don't have to agree where those rockets are going. You can believe that they're going to crash into the Bermuda Triangle. You can believe that they're just really expensive fireworks displays. But the simple fact is this: those rockets were illuminated while it was still dark outside. That is something that is predicted on the round Earth model. So let's go through it one more time. 1, the round Earth model explains why that booster flame was obscured by the horizon. 2, the round Earth model explains why we have luminous launches. 3, the round Earth model explains why ships disappear bottom up and eventually have side, as seen by the MC1 video, and it's definitely not by the law of perspective. 4, the round Earth model explains perfectly why the Lake Pontchartrain causeway curves. 5, the round Earth model confirms why the curvature rate of the Lake Pontchartrain causeway matches what is predicted to be the case.
2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
The round Earth model perfectly explains my Tampa Bay blink test observation. And finally, 7, the round Earth model perfectly explains how the EQ mount can work in reality. So I came here to present to you evidence that the round Earth model best comports with reality. 7 links that show that the round Earth model best comports with reality. And I'm going to assert as a fact that the flat Earth model is going to fail when trying to come up with an equally valid explanation for every single one of those. Finally, I'm going to finish off here with 60 seconds left with some advice. Stick to the topic, sir. Motion, origins. Who was the one to create the Earth? If there was a who in the first place, is irrelevant. Stick with geometry because that is the actual debate topic. I surrender the rest of my time to the moderator.
Ooh, I can hear the minions in Red's live. Get him, Reds! Get him, yeah! Got a light of fluff! Yeah, Red, that's my guy! Let's go. All right, so that was the first round of the rebuttals, episode 45, Ben versus Red Debate Gate Flat Earth Fridays. Hey, yo, this is getting a little heated. What y'all think, guys? Come on, tweet at me. Let me know what y'all think about this. We going crazy. Ooh, I don't know. What you think, Proud? What's going on?
I need some ice for my tits, y'all. It's getting steamy in here, man.
Ice on the nipples? It's getting that hot? What y'all think, everybody in Red's Live? Everybody in the listeners, what's going on? All right, hold on. Let me run this timer back. We're gonna get straight to it. Grab your popcorn, go ahead, take a little pee break. You know, do your little dance around gravity or through the ether. And we're gonna get right back into the rebuttal stage. We got a second round of rebuttals. We're gonna start 10 minutes with Ben, and then we're gonna go back to Rhetoric. Hold on 1 second. All right. Let's go ahead, Ben. You got 10 minutes. I will start the clock as soon as you start speaking. Let's go.
And this is my final rebuttal phase.
Yes, correct. This is the final rebuttal phase.
So geometry is not the topic of the debate. The topic of the debate was to provide positive proof for our ideology. You admitted that you don't know the origin. You said it could be God, it could be the flying spaghetti monster, or it could be a female fart, which I won't even repeat because I don't like to be vulgar. So if you can't accurately describe your model, then none of your proofs really mean anything. Even if any of your proofs were right, how does it prove the Earth is going around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour? How does it prove that the Earth is at a 66.6 degree tilt? How does it prove that Newton was right when he discovered his theories in the year 1666? How does it prove that the gravitational constant is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11? I think they chickened out and they should have just went with another 666. How does it prove that the speed of light is the exact same coordinates as the Great Pyramid of Giza? It's come to my attention that the globe model is not even a scientific model. It's some kind of satanic religion. This is why you guys have no proof. You could not prove to me that water bends. You did not show me a tidal bulge. You claim that you brought 7 links. Well, I brought about 20. You mentioned the NASA document, which I am glad you brought up. Just to be clear, the NASA document is not a proof of flat Earth. It is an admission of flat Earth. And so it's interesting that you're saying, well, why do I believe NASA at this point? I could ask you the same question. Why do you guys believe NASA, except when they tell the truth? Furthermore, that document does not have to do with a computer program. It just has to do with a bunch of calculations that the Globers said were simplified, because how could these calculations work in the real world if supposedly it's on an imaginary flat and non-rotating Earth? What would be the point of doing calculations on an imaginary world if NASA believes that the Earth is a sphere? Now, you mentioned that you bring the science. And this is what I really want to talk about with this debate. Let's talk about the science. And because you mentioned the Globebusters, and because you said that the F-16 pilot supposedly said this, he didn't supposedly said this, he did say this. And this is what I want to point out about the dishonesty of the Globers in general. When the SpaceX rocket blew up, it was clearly an explosion. But what did the BBC call it? A rapid, unscheduled disassembly. This is a perfect example of how you guys have to constantly change and redefine the definition of words. You mentioned how I wasn't paying attention to your little redefinition of level and curve. Yes, we all know the Glober logic where flat is level and level is curve. We've all seen your cartoon drawings explaining this. Most people think level is level and curve is curved. If you went to an architect and said, hey, give me a flat floor and a flat ceiling in a solid building, and that architect was like, okay, so I'm going to make you a curved building, and this wing we're going to call the Australia wing. It's going to be upside down. You would fire that architect, because when you ask for something to be level, it has to be level. Architects and engineers do not account for the curve of the Earth. They don't ever use the curve of the Earth for railroads, bridges, buildings, trains, roads, or anything like that. Military snipers don't use the curve of the Earth either, because bullets cannot bend around curves, light cannot bend around curves, water cannot bend around curves. All of these things can only work on a relatively level plane. So another thing I want to talk about is, you mentioned the assumptions about me, about not paying attention. I would just throw that back at you and say, The purpose of this debate was to present positive proof of your ideology. I don't know how you can actually prove your ideology without defining it. You very conveniently sidestepped that. Now you said, well, who or what does it matter if God created the flat earth? This is why. Because when we see order in the system, we know that it was brought there by intelligent design. If you see a watch on the ground, you don't just say, oh, 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang exploded and suddenly now we have a clock on the ground. If you put a bunch of pieces of metal, screws, and springs in a box and blow it up, suddenly it doesn't create a clock. So I'm sorry, but you do have to define the globe model, but you refuse to do it. But you guys
5 minutes.
You have the audacity to come to the flat earthers and say that we're not providing proof, that we're not providing a working model. Let me tell you about your so-called working model. Under the theory of gravity, it should be that larger objects fall faster than smaller objects. That's how your theory of gravity works, but we obviously know that's not the case. We know instead that density and buoyancy can perfectly predict falling and rising objects without the need of gravity. I always ask Globers, explain buoyancy using the word gravity. They say one of two things. They say, well, gravity's in the equation, which is a circular logic and basically saying the textbook told me so, or they immediately jump to density. So again, I'll ask, explain buoyancy using gravity. The other thing I want to say is that I don't even consider the globe model to be a scientific model at all. I think it is a brainwashing, satanic, and religion. And I'll just stick to religion so that I'm not saying anything too inflammatory. But most people do not know the rotation of the Earth, the speed of the rotation. Most people do not know, for instance, that the sun is also moving around some distant object, and even the Globers don't even want to bring this up. You also didn't mention anything at all about all the sun, moon, planets, and constellations that are following along on the ecliptic path. Now, I'm assuming that your explanation for this would be that all of these celestial bodies are on the same orbital plane. What that means is you make fun of flat earthers for thinking the Earth is flat when you guys think the universe is flat. And I've read in scientific textbooks that they literally said this, so I don't really understand how one could be flat and one could not be flat. I also want to mention that you mentioned the Globebusters, and you mentioned that I never met with any of the Globebusters. I'm pretty aware of their thoughts and watching their videos. And so I'd just like to bring up someone from your side. And no, Sacred, it's not who you think it's going to be. I'm going to mention somebody better. How about Dr. Fauci? I'm pretty sure Dr. Fauci's not a flat earther. And why do I bring this up in this debate? Well, because we're talking about science, right? And he himself says he's the science. The science is settled. Get your mask, get your boosters. And why do I mention this? Because the globe model, it tries to eliminate the concept of God. It tries to make you feel insignificant. When you do question the narrative, it's, oh, that's not adequate proof. My proofs absolutely prove the globe. Now, I will admit in my presentation, I did say a couple times, this is positive proof of the flat earth. I'm 100% sure, but I was very sparing with it. Using your rhetoric, everything you have to say is, this absolutely proves the globe, no other way to do it. And so I just like to suggest that you look at your own rhetoric and you lead with facts rather than assertions, because you have to prove your assertions rather than just saying, oh, this proves the globe. How do I know it proves the globe? You didn't define
90 seconds, 90 seconds.
You didn't define the globe model. So when you say this proves the globe, I really don't even know what you mean, especially when you keep using the term round. Flat pizza is round. Just because it's not a sphere, it's also round. So I'd prefer if you Globers would actually use the term sphere, but that's just a personal preference. Now, you mentioned the boat, and on the clear day, if the boat was tall enough, you still would be able to see it. And one more point about the SpaceX rocket, I do believe I'm absolutely right, and I clearly pointed this out. When you rise in elevation, you could see farther. You're being dishonest in trying to say that that isn't true when it's absolutely true. The rocket rising up in elevation allows it to see more, meaning it's now in the field of vision of the sun. I really don't understand how you don't understand that. And I'm being very clear. I showed a 1,500-foot TV tower. The horizon expands as you rise up. Obviously, you could see more land when you're on an airplane. It's very, very common and absolutely true that when you rise up, you can see more of the flat Earth. And so that is my explanation for why the rocket was illuminated. How much time?
10 seconds.
All right. Well, that's good. Thank you.
Flattening the globe in real time. Holy. Man said, I want all the smoke. I'm not even gonna take my shades off. It's easy. Level head, let's go. All right now, but you know Rez ain't going down without a fight. He's swinging out the air right now. Let's see if the gravity gonna hold back them punches. Hold on, let me reset this timer. Send me y'all tweets, what y'all think so far. It's getting kind of crazy. Back up from the mic, Rez. I know you're ready. Stop breathing so hard, bro. All right, here we go. Timer starts when you go.
Thank you. Well, that was incredibly disappointing, I have to say the least. So let's go in reverse order. No, geometry is the topic of the debate. The geometry of our planet is the topic of the debate, and I will stick to it. I'm sorry you weren't given that memo, but that is what I decided to do when I came here, was prove the geometry of our Earth, show which model best comports with reality, and I did that fantastically. You have yet to debunk a single thing I brought up, because you continuously bring up things I did not bring up. For example, I did not bring up the motion of the Earth. I did not bring up Sir Isaac Newton. I did not bring up gravity. I did not bring up the speed of light. I did not bring up satanic worship or whatever the fuck you were talking about. I didn't bring up religion in any context. Why are you constantly bringing things up that I did not bring up? And most importantly, why are you bringing things up that have absolutely nothing to do with the geometry of our planet? At this point, you're not engaged in a debate. You are engaged in preaching. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Open up a church, because that's where you belong. Because what you're doing right now is demonstrating that flat Earth is not a scientific argument. Flat Earth is a scientifically inept religion, because you constantly go back to religious statements and you constantly bring up what I'm going to call is irrelevant subjects, which is kind of a breach of the 9th commandment, if I do say so myself. I did show you that water curves. Your nuh-uh is not an argument, because I showed you the Tampa Bay skyline observation. I showed you the rocket disappearing behind the curve observation. And also I showed you the ship over the horizon observation from MC to MC1. I showed you my sailboat over the curve observation as well. Again, you did not address any one of those. Your nuh-uh is not an argument. And no, the NASA document is not an admission. Either you didn't read it, or you are again breaching the 9th commandment for the flat Earth cause. The NASA document is telling you that it's a computer model, and it's a simplified model of reality. They use a simplified model because they didn't need super accurate precision. Not only that, with the processing power that they had at the time, it would not be feasible. The computers that they had at the time would have a run to failure time of around 8 hours. If you add too many variables, the processing time would extend past that time, the time that the computer is good for calculating that shit. And so they made some simplifications, and they state this explicitly in the document. It's not an admission of anything. Clearly, you did not read it. Next, the Starship was a test launch. Here's the thing. Falcon 9s have exploded in the past. Falcon 9s have failed to land in the past, and yet it is one of the most successful launch vehicles in existence. Oh, and RUD, Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly, was coined by Elon, the guy that you're now thanking for this Twitter space. It's a joke. It's a joke acronym. Usually we just say it exploded, but Elon decided to call it a RUD because he's a meme lord. Hell, did you know the original name for Starship was BFR? Can you guess what that stands for? He literally named his Tesla cars after a meme. Model S, Model 3, which is a backwards E, Model X, Model Y. What does that spell? Sexy. You're losing your shit over a joke acronym. And this is supposed to impress me as evidence for the flat earth somehow. Next, order does not mean ID. Look up Conway's Game of Life. That's all I'm going to say about that, because quite frankly, I'm not here to argue intelligent design. I'm here to argue geometry. Again, I did not bring up gravity, and no, heavier does not matter. Again, look at the vacuum chamber video of feathers and bowling balls. You can definitely see that they fall at the same exact rate. Your buoyancy doesn't explain that. What you consider my model is also irrelevant, because I told you what the geometric consequences are for living on a globe Earth. And all 7 of my points, which is more powerful than 50 things that you could possibly put up, all of my points show the geometric consequences of living on a spherical Earth. They show that the round Earth model comports with reality, which is what I was here to do. And I believe I did that awesomely. Next, again, going back to religion, I just want to emphasize that it's not relevant, so I already went over that. Next, argument from ignorance. Most people being ignorant of a certain fact about reality.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Most people being ignorant about a certain fact of reality does not change reality itself. Hey, band notice, let me ask you something. There's a car parked right next to me. What is the make and model of that car? What color is it? You don't know. Does that change what it actually is? Does that change the color it actually is? No. So your ignorance of that fact does not change the fact that it is a model and that it has a color. So
careful with the ad-homs. Careful with the ad-homs, but you got it.
Yeah, of course. Next, Dr. Fauci is irrelevant. He was that is a subject about COVID and anti-vax nonsense. Vaccines, viruses, masks, whether they're effective or not, or Dr. Fauci being a douchebag, has absolutely nothing to do with the shape of the earth. Holy shit, dude. Next, I never said you couldn't see further with elevation. The round earth model perfectly explains that. I brought up my drone video where I showed me rising with altitude with the drone up to 1,638 feet, and I could see further. Yes, another thing that I observed was the horizon dropping. So I had an arrow set at the horizon. As my drone gained altitude, the horizon dropped. So let's go over this one more time. You did not provide any evidence for the flat earth. You did not show how your model best explains what I've seen. You don't have any sort of expert testimony. Instead of this a no-name F-16 fighter pilot that, okay, let's go ahead and say that he said something. I don't care. I want actual evidence. I don't want hearsay. If all you can provide to me is hearsay, misinterpreted documents, your religious ideology, or your hate boner for Dr. Fauci, I'm going to say explicitly that you have lost this debate. And with that, there really is nothing more to say. I relinquish the rest of my time to the moderator.
Ooh, the confidence with 2.5 minutes left. Okay, Rez. Damn, hold on. Let me go ahead and stop this timer. So that concludes our rebuttal phases. Guys, what do you think? You heard the evidence. You heard the rebuttals. You heard the points. Who's taking it? Tweet at me. Let us know what's going on. Shout out to everybody in the listeners. Shout out to everybody in Red Stream. Let me do a quick roll call. Shout out to Marsh, David, Libra, Ken, Reese Bice, Neil. What up, my guy? Facing Mussolini. Rada Zemya. Ant-Man, Non-Reb, Ivan, Third Isaiah, Sasha, Defect, Chivo, Boohoo, Bodie. What up, Bodie? Leo, I see you, Genghis. Globe Turd, Thaben, Per2, Bowl, Dino, NXB, and we got P Dubs in the place. Holy. We all keeping track of all you globe earthers that never show up to Flat Earth Fridays. I see some of y'all in here, so we know that you could join. Okay, y'all know we be going live. I see you, Milan, Ellie, Sign, J-Man, Mika, Antarctica, Daniel, Black Pope, SDG, Mikey, Say My Name the Biggest, Mike, Benoit, Jack, Pert, Ruskini, Chinny, Manuel, Uncle, Skip, BBT, Michael, and a couple of bots, potentially Greg, Visa, and Plan, and a few other listeners down there that I can't really see. So we are going to go move into our closing statements. I hope you guys are having a great time. Hope you guys are learning things. I hope you guys are doing your due diligence and research and everything that's being said here. Shout out to my host, my co-host, Nicola and Proud Flirt. I really appreciate you helping me put this together. Shout out to the challengers for stepping up to the mic. I think this is a great event, one of many that we have coming in the future. And I'm really excited. This sounds really good so far. You got anything for I'm Proud?
Awesome job, guys. Thanks for participating and just being a part. Again, we can't really have this conversation without you. So thank you. Definitely check out Red's stream. He does a great job of putting his own work together. And yeah, you guys appreciate it. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah, this has been great. And I know y'all fuck with our promo video. Rez, why you ain't retweet the promo video? You know that shit was hard, my guy. Come on, show us some love, Rez. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and go into the closing statements. I think we're gonna give you guys 5 minutes for closings. Hold on 1 second. Let me go ahead and reset this here. So each of the challengers get 5 minutes of closings. After that, we're going to move into our Q&A. We'll allow anybody to request the mic. You can ask each challenger a question, and then we're going to move through the hands. And then if you still have more questions, we'll just circle back to you. But that comes after the closing statements. Ben, I will relinquish the mic to you for your closing statement of the debate today, episode 45, Flat Earth Friday, Ben versus Red, Debate Gate. Let's go.
Okay. Sorry, my phone did cut off, but I did hear most of that. I would just like to say that I am not religious. At the beginning of this debate, I said I approach things from a philosophical angle. I actually will state here and now that religion does not bring you to the truth. People might disagree with that, but I'm just saying that for the record. And then you kept invoking the ninth commandment. So I don't know, maybe you should check your own religion. You said at one point that when you lifted up on your drone, the horizon dropped. I kind of got excited for a second because I thought you were going to say you had video evidence of the Earth curving away from you. Instead, you said a kind of ambiguous phrase of the horizon dropped. So I'm not really sure what you're meaning, but I have looked at other debates where you talked about that. And I could explain this perfectly. If you're on a beach and you're lying down and you watch the sunset, you could actually stand up and then watch the sunset again. I know you've said similar things about this, where you had a friend who watched a sunrise from his high elevation drone, and then he dropped it and he was able to watch the sunrise again. This perfectly comports to the flat Earth model, in which when you raise an elevation, the horizon expands and you see more of that. Thank you very much for calling Fauci a douchebag. I 100% agree with you on that. I don't exactly agree with you on your boner for vaccines, but I'll forgive you for calling me ignorant and saying I'm not paying attention. And I did write down here that no, this debate did not have anything to do with geometry. And at one point you said that you decided that it was about geometry. And I just want to close my thoughts here by saying that a lot of people ask, why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? And you mentioned the satanic cult, and let me at least defend my beliefs. I am saying right here now that the flat Earth was created by God. You are not defining your globe model. So no matter how much you think you won this debate, you do not accurately describe your model. You do not accurately describe how the Earth is moving, or in which direction, or where its origin is. If you brought me that car that you were mentioning in your analogy, I didn't really get how I wouldn't know the make or color. I could just look at it with my eyes. I wouldn't need a rendering software program to do it. But if you brought me that car and you said, hey, look at this car, I would say, oh, look, the make and model. That means its origin. So if you want to talk about a globe model, you have to talk about its origin. And don't try to pretend like the science textbooks don't talk about this. They certainly tell students the Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago. And so I am also disappointed in this debate because I was going to ask you questions about gravity, orbits, why the Earth doesn't fall into the sun, various other questions that I had. For instance, why doesn't the vacuum of space suck up the atmosphere? But it's clear you don't have an answer to any of those things. So you try to skirt the issue by saying, well, look at my equatorial telescope. Okay, that doesn't explain, again, how the Earth is rotating around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. Maybe it does, but you didn't properly explain that to me. Okay, somebody who's never used that, I don't know, you can't just make an assertion, you have to prove it, and you have to prove it clearly so other people can understand it. And you continuously reference the fact that I'm religious. That's actually laughable. And as I said, I'm more from a philosophical point of view, but I will say that one of the reasons why I brought up Fauci and the cult of science is that they do not want you questioning the narrative. They do not want you trusting your own instincts. And that's what it's really about. It doesn't really matter the shape of the Earth, no matter who's the winner of this debate, the truth does not change. All that changes is, do you go out and trust the science, or do you go out and trust your own observations? In the beginning, you said that we could all verify this ourselves. I agree with that. I think we all should verify it ourselves. I just don't think that you did that. I don't think that you proved accurately your globe model because you didn't present it. And it was clear that you got a little bit angry at me for even bringing it up, and especially kind of bringing up Fauci, which, as I said, it does seem like a bit of a tangent, but you guys claim to be
15
the
seconds.
masters of science, and you keep doing, and I'll just end with this, rapid unscheduled disassembly. You could not even admit that a rocket exploded. This is a perfect example of how you guys change the definition of words, curve and level, and say, oh, trust us. This is the science. You're trying to say, oh,
Time.
thank you all, everyone. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sacred and Flurf. And everybody else, David, Libra, all you guys, I love you.
Likewise, Ben, appreciate you, my man. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with Reds. Hopefully, he heard at least most of that since he is streaming on his own platform. Reds, I will give you 5 minutes for your closing statement, and that will start as soon as you start speaking, and then we'll move into the Q&A.
Yeah, I heard about 95% of it.
Okay, go ahead.
What was that, Ben?
I just want to say I had technical difficulties too, so let's just be fair and not say, oh, nobody was running. I know you're not running, I'm not running. That's all I'm adding.
Yes, I heard 90% of it, but it kicked me from the room. So I'm just going to state that, yeah, I had technical difficulties. But I heard about 90% of it. So Sacred, let me know when the clock's reset.
Yep, it's reset whenever you're ready.
Thank you. All right. Anyway, Rudd, R-U-D, again, it's a joke, dude. Elon makes jokes. He's a meme lord. He literally changed the Twitter logo to the Doge. This is the person that you're dealing with. The original name for the rocket was not Starship. It was BFR, Big Fucking Rocket. He's a meme lord. The name of his cars, Model S, Model 3, which is a backwards E, Model X, Model Y. What's that spell? Sexy. You can literally buy a shirt that says Ford tried to kill sexy because they copyrighted Elon Musk because he tried to call the Model 3 the Model E. He's a meme lord. You are literally losing your shit over a meme. Please stop. Again, no one is redefine anything. Rapid, unscheduled disassembly is pretty explicit, if I do say so myself. All right, moving on. The last thing that I'm going to bring up is one point. Why don't SpaceX, ULA, or any other space service provider send flat earthers to space? Well, one of the main reasons is that it's really expensive. However, there is a person out there called Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos has the New Shepard rocket, which in my mind looks like a giant penis. But you can hop a ride on that suborbital cock rocket for $100,000. Dearth is a flat earther that I assume you all look up to, since Dearth is within the same clique as the Globebusters, who you definitely look up to since you referenced them. So, being that Dearth has been able to make enough money with his app that doesn't work, and tuned to well over $100,000, and quite coincidentally, that's exactly how much it costs to hop a ride on that suborbital cock rocket. So, the only thing I'm going to say is this, is that if you really want to put the nail in the coffin for this flat earth, globe earth debate, convince Dearth to put his money where his mouth is and take a ride on that rocket. It's the seats are for sale. He can easily purchase it. And I cannot wait, if he does, for him to come back, say that the earth is round, and for you guys to call him a poser. Because every single time the globe is proven, every single time the globe is reported, it's always nuh-uh. And quite frankly, that's the argument that I got this evening. Nuh-uh. The ultimate proof for flat earth is nuh-uh. The ultimate argument against my evidence that shows that the round earth model comports with reality is nuh-uh. The ultimate argument against my evidence showing that, for example, the equatorial telescope mount, which was never mentioned by you, can only work on a globe is, but what about Fauci being a dick? I am so disappointed in your performance, but I have to give you credit. You actually showed up, which is more than can be said for many flat earthers that are in this arena. So I want to say, on a good note, thank you, Band Notice, for agreeing to this debate. Thank you for being here. And I also want to say a huge round of applause, round of applause to Sacred for hosting this debate. I appreciate it. And I'm going to end with this. Sacred, you earned yourself an order of curly fries.
Curly flies on Reds. We found curvature. Let's go. And that will conclude episode 45, Ben versus Red Debate Game. But don't go nowhere, guys. We got Q&A coming up. This was fantastic. I appreciate the challenge. I appreciate my host for showing up, holding me down. This was great, guys. I'm hyped. Yeah. And shout out to everybody over there on Red Stream for listening and tapping in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me your ideas, your opinions on what you guys thought. We might even get a poll going for you guys. We can see if you enjoyed the debate. Had a couple rounds of rebuttals around the evidence and some closing statements. Seems like you guys wanted to continue the rebuttals and the closing statements. But anyway, that's cool. Y'all, got the mic. You do whatever you want to do. Here's my critiques and my opinion. One, I'm actually proud of Ben for showing up as well. Rez does have an outgoing or outstanding, debate request for any flat earther to show up for a debate, and Ben is one of the first ones to do so. So shout out to the Leatherheads, stepping up to the plate. I appreciate you, Ben. I did see a lot of evidence here. I was surprised at some of the evidence that you did show. The only thing I will say is that I didn't see you critique some of Red's points. I was looking for a little bit more of the points that he highlighted. I would like to see you kind of step on that a little bit more. Other than that, I appreciate you showing up and doing what you did here today. I feel like you flattened the globe, and I hope you could, pull up with us in the after show. Red's Rhetoric, great performance as usual. Always on point. The only critique I would say from you is I wish that you would have used the jumbo and the nest more often for some of your demonstrations. I don't think you were prepared in that regard. I think that you are comfortable on live, and I get that it's a little bit easier to use other than Twitter Spaces. But I think since you knew about this ahead of time, I know it was a little bit of a short notice. I think we gave you like about 24, 48 hours. So I know it was a lot to cram in, but you did accept. So I would have liked to see you maybe take a couple clips from your videos and show them in the jumbo so that we didn't have to bounce back and forth, because this is a Twitter Spaces debate, and you did not utilize the jumbo at all. So technically, we probably could say we could disregard some of the things that you were sharing on the live stream because no one here in Twitter Spaces was able to see what you were demonstrating. However, I did retweet your stream so people could watch along if they decided to do so. But I would like you to try to at least utilize Spaces and Elon's tech that we got here because you did agree to that. Other than that, that's my critique. Those are my opinions. So we are pretty much going to open up the speakers right now. Feel free to request. I think just in case it gets a little bit too built up in the speakers, we're going to allow one question for each, or like just two questions in general, maybe per speaker, and then we're going to move through the room. So probably you can help me rotate some of these mics. I'm going to start bringing some people up and come give your opinion of the debate. You can come ask Ben questions about his evidence. You can come ask Rez questions about his. I don't know how much time you guys have. It's about 7 Eastern Central Time where I'm at.
I got 30 minutes.
You say you got 30 minutes?
30 minutes, yeah.
Okay, how about you, Ben? You hanging out for a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to start bringing some speakers up here. Let's go to the hands first, and then we'll keep the show rolling. Retweet the space, guys. Conversation isn't done yet, and after we're done with the Q&A, we're going to open up an after show so we can have just like a general conversation. Appreciate everyone for showing up.
I just want to say you're at the top of my list with 83, the largest room. I don't know if anyone has a room larger than that.
Oh, that's what's up. We got 80 in here? Oh, shit, let's go. Fatter Friday's on the rise. Yes, sir. You know we don't miss no motherfucking weeks. The only time we miss a week is when Elon want to shut down the truth, right? So we here every Friday. For everybody who don't know, we have this conversation all the time because we don't want no lies. We don't want no dishonesty in science. What we do here is make sure that we hold flat earthers and globe earthers accountable. And we want to make sure that we get to the truth because we are tired of being deceived no matter which position you take. And I feel like as long as you're not biased in that manner, that you want the truth, then I feel like the discussion can be had. So I appreciate you guys for being civil for the most part, Reds. But that was a great conversation. So let's go to the hands. Let's go to Australian first. Who do you got a question for, Australian?
I guess it's just a question on the debate itself, mate. I think it's understandable that both points of view still maintain their view. They're solid in their arguments from both sides. I don't think they were here to be persuaded whatsoever. Perhaps they were just there to persuade some of us in the audience to consider things a little bit differently. So I'm grateful that they did that. I think short of being launched into space and actually landing on the moon and looking back at Earth, I don't think the skeptics of the globe model will be instantly convinced of its actual existence. You've got to see it with your own eyes. I guess that's what Ban was talking about. And lots of people seeing things with your own eyes, that's true reality. That's true observation. But the other arguments that were being made were saying, no, we can observe things past our own eyes. And we're making sense of those things through modeling or computer modeling. So I think likewise, globe model proponents would be most likely to only change their belief and understanding if they viewed a flat Earth from the moon. I've got a $1,000 telescope. I can zoom up to the moon and I can have a decent look with a particular lens on it. There's dudes with $10,000 telescopes that do much, much better. And then obviously exponentially what NASA's got. NASA can solve all of this so simply. Why can't they just launch one of these telescopes via a robot, whatever it may be, up to the moon, unmanned mission, It pulls itself out of its box, sets itself up on the moon, and just zooms back on Earth, and it's a live feed. We can have an answer, gentlemen. It's pretty simple. People are willing to be convinced. So I guess I'll just leave it there. We're willing to be convinced if we can have the proof demonstrated. Thank you.
Can I just jump in here on that one?
Who's that? Is that Bodie?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
What's going on, Bodie? Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. How you doing, man? I got in here late to the debate.
And just keep in mind, guys, this is pretty much the Q&A section. We will open up another space after we shut this down for like open discussion. But this is pretty much for Q&A because Red is on a time schedule and we want to be respectful of his time. But go ahead.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, Red. Hey, Sacred. How's everyone doing? Hey, just that last speaker saying about just to answer that with the NASA launching a camera. Himawari 9 actually takes live photos of the Earth, which the Australian government and rescue services actually used in 2019, I believe it was, to pinpoint fires in Australia when they had their real horrific fire season a few summers ago. So it's already done. They don't have to go to the moon to use or show that the Earth's round. It's the evidence is already there. Just on another one, Dan, you mentioned about going to 100,000 feet, taking photos, etc., of the flat Earth. Mr. Sensible with his Mage flight, almost 4 hours of uninterrupted footage, went to 128,000 feet and actually shows curvature with a non-fisheye lens camera. I forget the name of it. But if you haven't seen it, you can check Mr. Sensible's channel out. And that's all I've got to say. Peace out, guys. Good on you, Red. Well done, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate that, Bodie.
Do we have any actual questions? Because I got 20 minutes left.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I appreciate you, Bodie. He's one of the Globe Earthers. That's kind of cool to have a conversation with. Met him over there on Red's channel. But yeah, let's keep this Q&A, guys. This is Q&A about the debate. Your opinion about the performances and anything in specific that you wanted to address for some of the evidence that was provided. Let's go to Marsh. Go ahead, Marsh.
Hey, everybody. Enjoyed the debate. I thought both sides stated their position pretty well. It was pretty civil. So I have a question for both of the debaters, and that is, if in our daily life or in our personal experience, if we step outside, if it's so hard to tell with our own five senses whether the Earth is flat or just a really big sphere, why does it matter? Why is it important that we understand that the shape is the way you say it is? And why is it important to convince other people that the shape is the way that you believe it is?
Rez, you up first, and then we'll go to Ben.
Thank you. The reason is because ignorance is always a detriment to the human population. And also keep in mind that with an accurate model of reality, we can then make accurate and reliable predictions. And sometimes those predictions can actually save lives. So for example, our weather modeling is based on globe reality. We use globe reality to also launch satellites, like for example, Himawari, which is literally saving lives as we speak because it's able to detect fires and get people either out of the way or they're caught early enough to where they can be contained. If we were ignorant about globe reality, if we were ignorant about the geometric facts of our world, then none of that would be possible. So what we need to do for the next generation is make sure that they have a love for education and don't mindlessly accept that everyone is trying to lie to them because, like it or not, there is evidence to the contrary.
Okay, my turn.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a very good question. I appreciate the respect. Basically, that was my point bringing up Fauci, because this isn't just the globe model. This is sort of the establishment of science. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I started researching for this debate, and as I said, I've been a globe or flat earther for 6 years. Okay, I started out as a globe earther, right? Every flat earther starts out as a globe earther. And it was only until the last couple days that I was researching it that I really started to see all this, numerology of 666. And as I said, I'm not even religious, but it's like this. If let's say NASA started writing like 1488 on all their rockets, people would be like, hey, isn't that like a neo-Nazi thing? So you got to understand it from the point of view of the people who created this, which was like probably hundreds of years ago, or at least 100 years ago. They inserted all of this stuff kind of as a key to each other. I mean, look, it's a joke. Like the gravitational constant, which I put up on my thing, we could talk about that later, but 6.67, I mean, almost 666, and the tilt of the Earth, 66.6. So it's like they're trying to use this to brainwash you. And I don't want to run on too much time, but and I like your question. That's why I care about this. I want people to just question things. Maybe you could have both. Maybe you could look into the flat Earth and say, no, the globe Earth is fine. I have another friend on Twitter who he's a globe earther, but he doesn't believe in gravity. And I tell him like, okay, dude, you're like halfway there. So I don't really care what you believe in. I'm just saying, I see a lot of people who, let's just say, are confused. And maybe it's because of our belief system that we're teaching them, that we teach them to be insignificant. And I could say a lot more, but I don't want to waste too much time.
Appreciate that, Ben. All right, let's hear from Antarctic. Since he was up here first, and then we'll slide over to Globe Turn. What up, Antarctic? What you got for us? Questions only. Questions only.
Okay. Question. Why is it that flight routes, it only makes sense on a flat Earth? It doesn't make any sense at all on a globe Earth. And also, incidentally, I just noticed that in Hollywood, the Apollo 11 space crew have all got their stars on the boulevard. They're the only group of people. There are no other scientists or any of the echelon that have stars there. So does that prove that they are actors?
A little bit of a double two-part question there. Ben, you want to go and tackle anything about flights?
Are we both answering each question, or?
I don't know. Antarctic, was this to both of them or one of them?
I was just posing it to the group.
Well, I'll let Red answer the one about the fake astronaut. I didn't really catch that. I'll just say, like, the flight paths, yes, I understand what you mean. And I guess I'll just say, taking from the Glober defense, like, okay, the flight path thing, and at first when you were saying it, I was like, okay, is this a globe or a flat question, And it turned out you're in favor of the flat Earth model. But just to be fair, like, this is a technical aspect question. To be honest, I don't know much about it, even though it benefits the flat Earth, because there's so much to flat Earth. Like, think about the fact that the moon landing is just one aspect of flat Earth. So when Reds brings up like the equatorial telescope, okay, I'll be honest, I don't know about that. But the thing is that just because I don't know a technical piece of evidence, it's not meaning I'm using an argument from ignorance. I will learn about it, and I guarantee I will prove Red's wrong because I've done it many, many times with his other examples. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions about that EQ model. I'm actually surprised that he brought that up. So I think we stepped on that already. But appreciate that, Ben. Rez, I don't know if you wanted to tackle the other part of that question. If not, we can move on.
About the astronauts side, sure. And also, yes, I would love for you to try and tackle the EQ mount. That would be hilarious. Anyway, astronauts going to space, basically, this all hinges around the ideas that there's no evidence that astronauts actually go to space, that they actually go to orbit. Well, on the contrary, there is evidence. And let me give you one from a personal example. My buddy, Astronomy Live, has a really, really big-ass telescope. And what he did for a certain Falcon 9 launch where they were taking astronauts to the International Space Station is that he set his telescope looking at the launch tower that has the bridge where astronauts will board the SpaceX Falcon 9. On that video, it's 2 hours straight, no cuts, in 4K resolution. You can actually see the astronauts on his telescope exiting the elevator at the top of the launch tower, walking across the bridge, getting on to the rocket, and then staying there for an extended period of time. The bridge swings away, and then the rocket lifts off. They never came back off that rocket. And this is uncut footage from Astronomy Live. So yes, astronauts do go to space. We have evidence of this, and we didn't actually have to go to NASA for that evidence. Sacred, if you're talking, no one can hear you.
Can I give a rebuttal or?
I could have sworn his question was about
Yeah, it's about the
flights,
only
the
actors.
flights on
Well,
the flat Earth map.
It was flights, and then it was an astronaut question that honestly I didn't catch. So
Yeah, the astronaut question was that only actors have their stars on Hollywood Boulevard, and why? So therefore, why is Buzz Aldrin and co there? Because no other non-actors are there.
I wouldn't call Donald Trump an actor, sir.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, now we can.
I'd also add that whatever footage you're talking about could be underwater.
Not my footage. I
The-
can
the
assure
footage
you
you
my
referenced-
footage was filmed on land.
Of astronauts?
Astronauts walking across the bridge to get onto the Falcon 9. The bridge swings away, and the astronauts never came off the rocket. Then the
And
rocket lifts off.
Did you film that?
Yes,
Why didn't you bring that up in the debate?
because it's irrelevant to the geometry of the Earth.
What? Well, it wasn't about geometry. Sacred.
So yeah,
Did you
so let
mention
me
anything
clear
about
this up
geometry?
because you know what I said in the beginning of the debate. I know what Rhetoric said is that he wanted positive evidence for the flat Earth. So what I interpreted that as positive evidence for your model or your ideology. Also, I want to make a disclaimer that flat is not a shape; it is a dimension. So there really isn't a debate shape or what, because you could have a flat circle, a flat square, a flat triangle. Flat is a dimension, not a shape. Let's be clear on that. So this is positive evidence for your ideology, which if it's a flat earth, whether it's a globe earth, a pineapple shaped earth, a donut shaped earth, this was a flat earth, globe earth. And I feel like that was met here today. So again, it's not about the shape, it's about the ideology. Hold on, I'm just trying to circle through some of these. Antarctic, you can come back up in a minute. I just need to free up some spaces. And then we'll slide over to Globeter. What up, Globeter? We was on Bro
Yeah.
Sanchez's yesterday. That was kind of fun, right? Oh yeah, Bro Sanchez said, "What up, Rez?" So did Fight the Flat Earth.
Hands, guys. Hands, by the way. Hands up if you want to ask a question while you're up here.
What's going on, big dog?
What's up, my guy? Go ahead. You got a question for the challengers here today?
Yeah. Real quick though, on the Apollo 11 one, they have their stars that they were on live television, so maybe they have their stars there, and they were the first ones out of the 27 men that have been to the moon over 9 missions, with 6 of them landing and 12 of them walking on the moon. But I have a question for Van Notice.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yep. You
Okay, sorry. So when you're looking at those at that ship, the view of that ship, and it's nice and clear, and there's a clear, crisp horizon going halfway up, a really tall ship. If the top of it is not too far away to see, is the bottom too far away to see?
If you lift it up in elevation, you would be able to see the bottom.
Well, that follows, yeah, because there's something blocking it, right?
Yes, the perceived horizon, which is not the curve of the Earth.
It's not, then what is it?
It's a optical illusion created by your field of vision. If you raised up, then you'd be able to see beyond the horizon. This is the point I kept trying to make. And Reds was arguing that, no, the SpaceX rocket, that doesn't work. Even though he also admitted that the horizon advances with elevation. So this is the problem with the globers, where they say, oh, it's atmospheric distortion, or oh no, now it's not atmospheric distortion. So when you're looking at it from that angle, I'll tell you what's going on. There's the perceived horizon blocking the ship, but because the ship is taller, you could actually see more of it. Like, for instance, you could see clouds in the sky above the perceived horizon. If you were to raise up, you could then see the bottom of that boat because your horizon has expanded.
That is a necessity on the globe Earth. Your horizon has to expand on a globe Earth.
No, because you just admitted to be the edge, the curve of the Earth, the
What do you
edge.
mean?
So
No.
anything beyond of that would be space.
No. See, that's the thing. You guys think that the horizon is the edge of the Earth, and it's not. You guys got to think like if you want to scale, take a beach ball, right? Take a sharpened pencil, just enough, touch it so you won't pop
It
the
would
beach
be
ball.
sky,
You
but
see, hold on. You see that little spot right there on that beach ball? You live in a big city. Your city exists inside that spot.
See, the problem with that analogy is the beach ball wears the atmosphere. Okay, so this is the problem. If you're saying it's not the space, it's okay, it's the sky, but then that means the curve of the Earth is going to be going away from that direction, which means you're basically have to explaining how the ocean is curved.
I don't know where he went, but I hope that answered your question, Globe Turd. If you got more questions,
Who
you
was
can come
that? I
back up.
didn't catch his name. I just want to know, you know.
Oh, that was Shane Dupuy, Globe
Okay.
Turd Society. He's a
Okay,
Globe Earth. He's pretty cool though.
All right, thank you for the question.
All right, let's go to Hypatia. What up, Hypatia? Long time no talk.
Hey,
What's going
it's
on,
good
girl?
to see you. I love your spaces, Sacred.
Appreciate
I hope
you.
you're doing well. So I'll release the mic quickly. I know you need the space. Just a couple of quick things. Antarctic did raise a really thought-provoking point about the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And furthermore, ban with respect. I think any kind of de facto decree about Trump is uncalled for. I think that there's a lot of doubt surrounding and warranted whether he's an actor, you just get back to The Apprentice. So we need to leave that up in the
Hold
air.
on, I didn't mention Trump.
You did when you refuted Antarctic's claim about the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
No, I didn't. That wasn't me. That was Reds.
Forgive me. You were
I
both
didn't-
talking, interchanging. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Bam. Yeah,
I
Reds.
wanted to talk about Trump. I held off. So that's why I'm like, hold on a sec.
No, that's fair enough, and I'm sure you will. But just so you know, Reds, to say, well, that's not true because of X, Y, or Z, when X, Y, or Z is not proven or disproven and is up for debate, we need to be very open to what Antarctic said about the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And just lastly, I want to give a shout out to P Dubs down there, our resident NASA plant on Twitter.
Shout out to you.
Cool. Let me go ahead and respond to that real quick. I said I personally don't consider Trump to be an actor, but yet his star is there. Again, just because someone has a star on a Hollywood Walk of Fame or whatever, it's irrelevant to this debate. It has absolutely nothing to do with my observations that I presented here this evening.
And I'll actually second that. And you know, I think it's a fine point. Let's move on from the star thing.
Agreed. But we do appreciate all the comments. And guys, stick around. I know we're going to close this space down soon after the Q&A, but we are going to open up the after show and continue to open dialogue. Let's hear from Anise. What's going on?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm interested if somebody here in this space ever heard about the lunar wave and how it fits into the one or other system, into the flat Earth system or the globe system.
Is that a specific question for someone in particular, one of the challengers, or just open for either one?
Yeah, I think it's open for Ben and Reds.
Can you define the lunar wave a little bit more?
For everyone else, natural too.
I think
you know
I
what I
can.
mean with lunar wave. You know, it's like there were videos from different places on Earth where you can see a wave rolling up from top to bottom on the moon, you know?
Okay, okay, now I understand. So, I mean, one thing, it could be an effect on the camera, we don't really know. But the other explanation could be that the constellations and the stars and what I call the heavenly bodies, they all ride within this firmament, which we don't totally know what it is. Some people have described it as water-like. I don't say it's water. I don't think it's literally water up there, but it's water-like. And so the ripples could be in some sense like seeing this kind of firmament sort of play off the moon.
Yeah, and just for everyone and the listeners and some of the speakers up here, I posted exactly what Anise is talking about. It's a post up top. It says part 4. I got 4 tweets about it, and I just posted one where you can clearly see this distortion in a moon observation. So this is what she's referring to, called the lunar wave. So if you just want to look at that first before replying, Reds, or whatever the case is, and for all the listeners and speakers in the space, so we can all be aware about the topic. But go ahead, Reds, you got it.
Yeah, and this will be the last thing I'll say, at least on this space. I will be having an after show with 82 Productions. Link to that will be posted on my Twitter if you wish to watch. But the lunar wave, if I understand this correctly, is similar to what a user by the name of Crow777 posts, where air turbulence makes a sharp cut going across the face of the moon. Well, this is where I'm once again going to bring up my good friend Astronomy Live, because we actually offered to simultaneously record the moon, being spaced apart by over 1,000 miles, I believe. And if the lunar wave were to be shown on his footage, but not on Astronomy Live's footage at the exact same time, then clearly this is an atmospheric effect and nothing to do with the moon whatsoever. Unfortunately, when we made that offer to Crow777, he responded by blocking us. So not sure why he did that, but if anyone wants to set up such an observation, we will be more than happy to do that. I again would like to say thanks to everyone for being here. And
sorry, but before you go, I didn't mean to cut you off, but before you go, I just wanted to say something.
Okay. All right, what's up?
Sacred, have you been keeping track of the Q&A? Has anyone been keeping track?
Of who's been getting Q&As or what exactly?
No, like the total time.
Oh, no. I just kind of was letting it rock, to be totally honest.
What has it been longer than a half hour?
It's been about.
We agreed to have like a half-hour discussion.
We're at 31 minutes right now.
I know, Reg, you want to get off, but it's just so I don't have to say, you ran away. I'm here. I think the room is having fun,
Yeah, it was more of a Q&A just for you in particular, because man, I think you told me that the open dialogue wasn't really like the way to go. So it was more just Q&A directly.
That's sort of part of the debate. That's okay. I'll say it like this. Not that I even believe what I'm saying, but let's say Reds beat me on the technical aspect of the debate. I, of course, brought the fire. But now this is also part of the debate, opening up to the audience, hearing whatever the hell they want to say. And it's like, come on, let's stand up to it. How about this? Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to stop answering Q&A. I'm literally going to post a link to a live stream where they can ask me all the questions they want. And also in the message that Sacred sent me, it says 30 minutes or more in parentheses Q&A. 30 minutes sounds good. I was here for 30 minutes and now I'm going to go elsewhere. And if anyone wishes to ask me anything else, they are more than welcome to ask me there during the after show. A link to it will be posted on my Twitter. So if you have any lingering questions, if you have anything you would like to bring up, hell, if you even want to speak to me directly, come on into the live chat. I'll send you a link, you join, and then you talk. It's an amazing thing. And that sounds complicated. Yeah, that live stream will be happening in like 5 minutes from now.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. And before we let Rez go, I just want to ask both the challengers a question before we continue the Q&A. First, Rez, I want to ask you, your opinion on Ben's behavior during the debate, and then Ben, likewise, the same question. How do you feel about Red's behavior during the debate? And I got one more question after that.
Better than I would have expected, because the last time, or I should say multiple times I've had this debate, it's turned into a cataclysmic dumpster fire. I'm also going to say thank you, Sacred, for your moderation. I think you kept the train pointed in the right direction and on the tracks.
Appreciate that. I try not even use emojis during some of the things too, just so I can keep my, bias out of it. But go ahead, man. What you think about Red's behavior?
Red's is very professional. I'll say that, and he has the courage to do this. I wish more of his followers would come in and do this. So he is a very professional person to debate. I'm glad I didn't, get too much under your skin. I know I was pretty passionate. I just like to say though that I don't care what he said about me. It's just the general attitude, and everybody, knows this, of the Globers kind of, and this is not even this debate, and it has nothing to do with Reds. It's just the general public is like, oh, you believe in flat Earth? That must be stupid. So that's kind of the mountain we have to overcome. And it's like when Globers act mean, and yes, flat Earthers also act mean, it's kind of like, well, we're already the underdogs. We're already going up against 60 years of NASA and all their computer rendering. So it's like, cut us a break, But, and then the thing is, if you're going to be mean to us, we got to be mean to you. Then it becomes the dumpster fire. But, really, who's to blame?
I appreciate both responses. That's really good. I appreciate you guys' behavior and the way that y'all conducted yourselves during the debate. Last question for Rez, where we let him go to hold down his own live stream. And this is regards to my performance as well. I know you did say a few nice things about me moderating my first debate here on Twitter Spaces, so I appreciate that. But another claim that has been floating around on Twitter from the Globe Earth community, some of the toxic Glober game, hashtag toxic Glober game, that's a real thing, has been that I don't hold flat earthers accountable. So Rez, I want to ask you in front of all these viewers, all these listeners on both platforms, have you heard me critique Ban Notice today? Yes or no?
Yeah, I've heard you critique Ban Notice. I do also want to say that, you try very hard to keep your biases to yourself, and I appreciate that. I did see that you were holding back on the emoji button quite a bit. I will also say, though, for context, and just to be clear, make sure that there's no confusion here, I think you're still a little soft on the flat earthers. I think you go in hard on the globies, and I understand why. You admit you have a bias, and so do I, so no shame on that. But as far as your performance here, yeah, I got no notes. I'm satisfied, and I hope that the next time you are free to moderate a debate that actually happens on the platform where I'm not going to run into fucking technical difficulties during the last portion of it, and also on a platform where live streaming and screen sharing and live chat interaction can all happen at the exact same time. Twitter Space really isn't a good space for stuff like this. But thank you very much for moderating. I do appreciate it, and I'm going to head on out now.
Holy fuck, that was
in the words of Rez Rhetoric,
that was
something. Fuck out.
Do I get to critique you, Sacred?
Yes. Actually, I do want your critique.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to AT2 Productions YouTube channel. And yeah, see you all there, and bye-bye.